Hi, I'm Alan Cylinder.
And I'm his daughter, Chelsea Cylinder.
We're Cylinder. Today we're here to talk about an unusual new movie called Free State of Jones. It's unusual in that it's a Civil War movie. You don't see those very often these days. It's directed by Gary Ross, who's done movies like Seabiscuit and the first Hunger Games movie. He also co-wrote this movie. And it stars Matthew McConaughey. It's an interesting true story. Tell him.
Okay. It centers on Matthew McConaughey's character, and he leads a group of people to break away from the Confederacy during the Civil War. But they don't break away from the Confederacy to join the Union. They're just kind of this neutral state in between the Confederacy and the Union.
It's
in the Deep South.
It's little known history. Apparently there were other states like that as well. And the movie moves along very nicely, for me at least, for the first two-thirds of the movie, with the exception of one jarring thing that we'll talk about in a minute. The last third of the movie, however, becomes very, very choppy. It becomes a history lesson, and it's an interesting history lesson, and the scenes are good, but nothing flows.
This was kind of my problem throughout the entire movie. I think it's interesting that you said more like a history lesson, because I thought that this was a very interesting story, but this is kind of a story that I thought would be better reading on paper, and so I thought the story itself was very good, but I didn't think it was good material for a movie, maybe. At least the way they executed the story,
You didn't find it dramatically compelling?
No, but I found the story to be very interesting. Throughout the movie, I wasn't really compelled. There were bits and pieces where I was really in the moment and like very much connecting with the characters and their stories, but at other times, I was just like, this feels too long. And you had mentioned that you thought the last third was choppy. I thought that there were choppy bits throughout the entire movie.
I didn't feel that, and strangely enough, I found the entire movie compelling, even the messy last third of the movie. It's a 2-hour and 20-minute movie the way it is, but to me it really felt like a 3-hour movie that someone chopped into a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. And it felt like there's really like footage missing. I don't know whether that's the case or not. Now, to the footage that we don't like at all.
Yeah.
Suddenly, about a half hour into the movie, there's a jarring sequence in more contemporary times. It's actually the 1940s.
85 years later.
85 years later, okay. And there is just no reason for this. They keep on going back to this throughout the movie. It takes you out of the period, which is very nicely invoked.
Mm-hmm,
and they could, there is a need to tell you about it, but it could have been done simply by a written encoda over.
I agree with that completely.
Over the closing of the movie.
I have to say that since they kept cutting to this sequence that took place 85 years later, I got used to it, and so I was a little bit like intrigued by that story. But the first time they did it, I was just like, whoa.
Yes,
like,
I felt the same way, and I felt that they should have just taken it out of the film altogether.
It wasn't really necessary, yeah. I'm surprised they kept it in.
Matthew McConaughey is quite good in the movie.
I was going to say, really good performance. I thought all the performances were very
good.
Yes,
everybody is pretty good in the movie. Yeah. You just don't see this kind of movie very often, and it's a serious movie, it's a somber movie, and I would give this movie 3.5 cylinders.
I wouldn't give it that much. I would probably give it 3 cylinders.
Well, that's not bad considering all the faults that you found.
Well, I didn't dislike the movie. I just didn't love it. I wouldn't go rush out to see it. I have no need to see it again. But it was not a bad movie. 3 cylinders. I'm nice.
Free State of Jones. This is Alan Cylinder.
And Chelsea Cylinder.
Saying see you at the movies.
Bye.